how would I normally phrase this? Well, the unaliving of a CEO, but we're in a new
Mhm.
era now. If you get murked by a dude named Luigi, that is fucking hilarious. Sorry, it just
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host Jay. I'm here with my co-host Brad.
What a week. I mean, like especially I gotta say, this week felt kind of cool because there was a lot of big stories that were not centered around the unfortunate center of our political universe.
yes.
And that's, it feels like a nice reprieve. Not to say that we're immune from
No, unfortunately.
the incoming administration by any stretch of the imagination, but there were some major stories going on that really had nothing to do with them. Crazy foreign policy
South Korea.
week as well. Just talk about Syria. So yeah, interesting week this week for sure.
Yeah, we don't have the South Korea attempted coup d'état on the docket. So just quickly, I'll give the 10,000-foot view. Hey, I'm the president of South Korea. I'm gonna go ahead and do a coup by doing martial law, and that's what's happening. South Koreans, no. President of South Korea, damn it. All right.
Shucks.
Yeah, you got me.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, it was just like, are you sure? Fuck.
Now to be fair, as strong as his ruling party came out to smack down the coup attempt, they did not finish the job. They did a McConnell-esque pulling of their punch when it came to the impeachment vote, unfortunately. So somehow the South Korean president managed to escape impeachment for attempting to take over the government unilaterally. So 1 out of 2 ain't bad, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a bit of a disappointment. Look, I am a man who thoroughly believes deep into whatever part of a soul we have, that the United States has suffered greatly because we did not take the gloves off during the post-Civil War against the Confederacy. You do not leave people who try to overtake your country and let them fucking just go back to their jobs, because all it teaches is later generations that it is okay to try. If somebody tries to take over the country and you stop it, you break them over the wheel. Okay, like there is no point in being nice. Look, impeachment is a pretty nice ending. Okay, they could give you the old fucking Mussolini. Okay, like in my opinion. But yes, 1 out of 2 ain't bad. But I think you're going to live to likely regret that, because again, when people are trying to take over your country, January 6th, when you do not deal with it,
we are right now.
Right.
Like we are literally living it.
Right. When you do not deal with it hard and fast, right? It should not have taken 3 years to start putting people, sentencing people to prison time. That shit should have been.
That's generous. I'm even referring to the post-Trump presidency impeachment and acquittal in the Senate, where they could have just stopped him from running again. So
yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, that was Mitch McConnell again. Like, I don't think he should run for president. Then stop him. Like, he's going to. But when you pull those punches, especially when it comes to like coup d'etats and stuff like that, you it ends up worse the next time. Like, again, that would be like sending a guy to prison and then him writing a book and then letting that guy out of prison and then allowing him to run the country, and then things go real bad. I don't know, guys.
It is weird how we keep just easily being able to pick out of the air historical preludes to stuff like this.
Good Lord.
Amazing.
Again, I don't understand it. Be mean. Okay, just be meaner. Like, we can be mean to other people in other countries. We can definitely do it back at home. It's not that hard. They're right there. All right, big topic this week. how would I normally phrase this? Well, the unaliving of a CEO, but we're in a new era now. If you get murked by a dude named Luigi, that is fucking hilarious. Sorry, it just is. So the United Healthcare Insurance CEO got Brian Thompson. He got shot in the back 2 or 3 times early morning last week after we recorded, unfortunately, thanks news gods.
You know what? I'm actually not upset that we didn't get to cover this.
We get the whole story
in the light of day. It's been fascinating to see just the evolution of this story across the past week in so many ways.
Yeah, I'm okay. So he gets killed. This guy gets killed. The immediate response is, "Whoa, that's wild," from everyone. Okay,
right.
And then rich people are like, "This is not okay," and everyone else is like, "No, this is okay. We're okay."
Yeah, the CEO class, unsurprisingly, not fans of the summary execution of a fucking healthcare CEO in front of a midtown hotel in New York City.
By the way, he was going into an investors meeting. That's why he was in New York, and why he was where he was. And he was going into that investors meeting to likely brag about how much they've screwed people out of their healthcare and made billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, I just want to point out. So, and I'm sure many listening have already seen these statistics. So, United Healthcare, by far, like the healthcare company in the United States that denies the highest percentage of claims. I think I saw they're like 32% of claim denial, and the national average is 11% among all insurance companies. This is a company who developed an AI to make claim denying easier. And the AI apparently like malfunctions all the time as well. So I'm sure that there's a lot of claims that probably should be accepted that do get denied because, you know, every big business wants to develop artificial intelligence, and it works so well, let me tell you. Yeah. So that was kind of the framing of this. Like when the news first broke, it did not take long for this framing to happen, by the way. Like it was almost instantaneous, where people saw the job that this guy did. And by and large, immediately we're just like, well, it's a shame, but you know what else is a shame? The literally thousands upon thousands of people that United Healthcare deny necessary medical coverage for it, and how many people have died as a result of, you know, number crunchers doing a cost benefit analysis over healthcare, and it really goes to show you where we are in America as far as the private healthcare system. And it's weird to say it, but my reaction after seeing like the first day of kind of the internet reacting to this story was, holy shit, maybe universal healthcare is possible in the United States one day, because it is very clear that people really do not like the current healthcare system.
No.
As is currently constituted.
Look, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I'll just throw a statistic up there. There was a new Gallup poll that came out that 62% of Americans support universal health care. Here's the problem. Maybe you should vote that way. Just saying. Maybe you should vote that way. If you're one of those 62% of Americans who believe that and you don't vote, I have to ask you, how do you think things happen? Like, that's very bizarre to me. Or if you're a person who voted for Republicans who absolutely don't believe in that.
And it's also been really insane to see how like the C-suite has reacted to this as well.
What do you mean?
There was a video. There's a video from another that was responding to this. It was an internal, I can't remember which healthcare company it was, but the CEO of another healthcare company put out a video, I guess it was on like a Zoom call or something, to like other employees within the company, and it got leaked out to Ken Klippenstein, who's a reporter, and like literally in this video, like as he's talking about like all the good work that Brian Thompson did in this side of the other thing, like I think the line says like we guard against unnecessary care, and this is like a fucking service that's. I'm just like, bro, do you fucking hear yourself? Like
hey, if you could put your address on the bottom of the screen and a scrolling chyron, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, like, do you think this is what? And I understand that he didn't think that video was going to see the light of day. Why he thought that, I have no fucking idea. It's the internet in 2024, bro. Like, get a fucking clue.
Oh, like, speaking today, screen grab this
right? One. But like, it was startling to see how. I don't know why it is startling, because it shouldn't be startling, but it was startling to see just like how like kind of examples of how out of touch the average upper class person is with the reputation that they have among the citizenry, as it were.
Well, you know, it's interesting, right? Because there's another aspect to this, and that's absolutely true. And I don't want to get back to that. But what's also interesting is watching sort of the bipartisan enjoyment, I think is probably the best word, of this guy being murdered. And I find that baffling, right? I get why people on the left are like, yeah, fuck that guy. That makes sense. People on the left have been screaming about how healthcare and health insurance is a fucking racket, and it is literally designed to hurt people, because that's literally what it's designed to do. Nobody starts a health insurance business on the idea of providing care that costs them money. The whole idea is, yes, we will provide care, but we get to deny this large chunk of people and make billions upon billions of dollars. Like, that's just the nature of the business, right? If you run a health insurance company, don't kid yourself that you're doing something noble. Your entire profit margin is based on hurting people. Like,
yeah, unless you are running your company as a nonprofit, like if you were somehow running a nonprofit healthcare company, then sure, yes, you're doing something noble and providing a public service. But if you are a for-profit healthcare company, make no bones about it. Profit is absolutely your number one priority over care. And you would argue, well, that's what we have to do in order to be around to provide the care. And I would argue that, do you see how much profit like the top insurance companies in this country are making? Like, do you need to be that profitable? Should healthcare be a publicly traded commodity in this country? I don't fucking think so. Like, it seems to me that being an incredibly successful, incredibly profitable company is diametrically opposed to being a company that exists to provide expensive medical care for people. Like those two things cannot work in concert with each other.
They don't. Like it. Yeah, it's an impossibility. Again, your business is completely predicated on the idea of hurting people. Like it just is. It has to be, right? And look, I've always been, you know, a lot of people say, oh, corporations are immoral. No, they're not. They're amoral. They don't have morals. And like this idea that they're like evil or whatever. No, they're not evil. They just don't give a fuck about human beings, because that is not what they're designed to do. They're designed to, they have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders. That's it. However they get there, however they make money is A-okay with them. They're like robots, right? Like as a business, they don't really give a shit. So I've enjoyed the sort of bipartisan aspect of it. That's been amusing, but I also don't understand it. And the reason why I don't understand it is because I don't understand, as a person on the left, I look at a person on the right and go, what the fuck are you cheering about? These are the people that you support, right? Like this idea of you, every 2 to 4 years, you vote to keep the wolves at the door by not going after these guys, by not putting people in place who will try to regulate these guys. You do that on purpose. And they're like, yeah, we're all so sick of it. I'm just part of the working class. I'm a working man. It's like, cool. glad you're a working man. That's great. But in 2 years, when your senator or your House member in your district is up for re-election and they support getting all this money from health insurance companies so they can continue to fuck you on your premiums, you vote for those people happily. You never vote against them. So it's really weird. And what it tells me is like, one, there's a weird disconnect, right? Like, you know, like you're cool with like taking down the man, but like you don't really understand that like you're also voting for the man. Like it's weird. And by the way,
it's a misunderstanding of who the man is. Like when people on the right like look at the man, they specifically look at government. Like they hyper fixate on government and think it's, you know, big government that's coming out to get them, not realizing that no, actually, like on a day-to-day aspect, like your life is controlled by corporations.
Yeah. And by the way, it's not even that they just look at government as being the problem. They look very specifically at one side of government being the problem, right? Because let's not get it fucking twisted. And both parties are, you know, guilty of this. The level of re-elections for incumbents is incredibly high for a reason, right? Like, we want something new. We need change. Cool. Well, you want to get rid of that guy? Well, not my guy. My guy's great, right? Like, okay. Well, if everyone is saying that, then we're not really moving forward, right? So I'm baffled by why they believe that they get to like join in on this party. So that's kind of interesting, right? And then there's the other aspect of it, of like, okay, you vote for guys who support this and keep these people in it. But what it also tells me is like, you do really understand what is hurting you. And you understand it in this context, but either you're not quite smart enough to move that context into when it comes time for voting, or you do know and you don't really give a shit, right? Like, you can't possibly look at the healthcare insurance guy and go, fuck that guy, but not realize that the prices of clothes and food and everything else is also rising and go, well, that's clearly the government. No, there's a Brian Thompson of fucking Walmart. There's a Brian Thompson of eggs. There's a Brian Thompson of milk. They're just corporate leaders gouging you. Now, if you don't like that, I find it really weird that you voted against a person who came out to try to do legislation to stop price gouging, but then you guys screamed about how that was going to ruin your freedom and that eggs are $75 a carton, and then you voted for a guy who's going to make them more expensive. Like it doesn't really make any sense. And it's because there's just massive amounts of cognitive dissonance on the right. I mean, it's on both sides, but it's extremely high on the right.
It's cognitive dissonance. It's also like an issue of scale, right? Like people, like I think everybody, if they haven't experienced it themselves, and I would imagine most people that are adults, like at least in their 30s or 40s, have experienced it, but at least know somebody who have experienced like an insane healthcare bill, right? Yeah. Or have seen someone that has like crippling medical debt because of a terminal condition, or not, like a chronic condition, or even like a terminal condition, or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
And so I think people internalize that more, and just like the sums of money involved make that take on a very different scope than the everyday price of groceries, which, the price of eggs is super high right now. Absolutely. But we're talking about, a difference of, $2.50 to $4, right? Like that's right. A very micro view. Whereas, if someone's been fucked over by their medical insurance company, that's tens of thousands of dollars that you're talking about, fair. If not more. So I think that's part of it. I think what's fascinating too is kind of the response in right-wing punditry to this as well, because I think that they saw a lot of liberals coming out and dancing on this dude's grave, and fucking rightfully so. I couldn't give a shit at all that this guy was murked in the street. I'm not saying we need to go around murking CEOs, but I'm not going to cry about it either. That's for fucking sure. But
go on.
I think a lot of right-wing pundits, I think a lot of right-wing pundits saw this as an opportunity to dunk on liberals, and then were shocked to find that actually a lot of their listenership or viewership were kind of aligned in the same direction. And I think quite a few right wingers, and again, this is anecdotal and stuff you see online gets magnified. It is not, representative of a wider sample size, but a lot of people waking up and realizing, oh, we actually do have a major class-based struggle in this country. And oh, this commentator, this pundit, this personality that I listen to on a daily or weekly basis, they might not actually have my best interests and my best, my things at heart, because they're actually part of that bourgeoisie that is self-interested in making sure that the people that are in that upper echelon are insulated and taken care of and safe and provided for.
Yeah, this is happening to Ben Shapiro. This is happening to Matt Walsh, two of the most far right wing guys out there. And yeah, all in their comments are like, "No, this isn't a left wing thing, dude. We actually agree with the left on this." It's like, yeah, that's not good. That's about to die though, and I'll tell you why. Because the guy who seems to be the dude, this Luigi Mangione, I'm just going to put this out there. Obviously, the son of Chuck Mangione. There's no way for me to know if that's incorrect or not. I'm just going to assume that I am correct.
It is. I just for the record, for Chuck Mangione's estate, there's no known familial connection between Chuck Mangione and the guy that killed the CEO. Fun fact: I
don't believe that.
2 degrees of separation from Chuck Mangione. So
Brad has 3 degrees of separation from a murderer. Go ahead. What are your 2 degrees of separation from Chuck Mangione?
So one of my back when I played music, one of my saxophone teachers was Chris Vidala, who was a professional musician and was the saxophonist on "Feels So Good" with Chuck Mangione.
Oh shit, son!
There you go.
Look, I like that song. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. It's a good song. And you know who also liked it? Hank Hill. How about that? He did.
Really, the entire town of Arlen, Texas, we're big fans of Chuck Mangione. So,
look, the man was a genius. This guy Luigi Mangione, 26, I believe, was picked up in Altoona, Pennsylvania. What are you doing? What are you doing?
As you do.
Got caught doing the dumbest, most American thing ever, sitting in a fucking McDonald's.
I mean, look, I get the sense as we're learning more about this guy, he might have wanted to be caught to an extent, considering he had the gun and a manifesto on him at the time that he was captured.
Why would you do that? Haven't you watched a spy novel? You get yourself a nice, good old-fashioned American barrel, you fill it with shit, light it on fire, you throw those things in there, okay? One of the things, his weapon they found out today or released the information today, it was a veterinarian pistol.
No, I don't think it was. I think the latest is that it's a ghost gun, apparently, a 3D printed gun.
Oh, that's cool. All right, well, that's a bit terrifying.
Yeah.
Again, shrug. Maybe you'll learn some lessons.
Look, might be a silver lining about this is that in the wake of this, we might get stricter ghost gun regulations. Because again, it's fine for the rabble to be killed by ghost guns, but you committed violence against one of the chosen few. That cannot stand.
Yeah. Look, after this killing, Anthem, who runs Blue Cross Blue Shield, they had come out the day before the killing and said, you know what, we're going to stop covering anesthesia, fully covering anesthesia costs if it goes past a certain time frame, right? As if it's the patient's fault that the surgery is taking long, which is a weird fucking stance. But they're like, you know what? Money. Fuck you guys.
And anesthesia, by the way, one of the most expensive costs associated with any surgery. Yes.
100%. Yeah, because the whole idea is, what is the level we can give you to kill you? Cool. Dial it back one.
Yeah, dial it back. And oh, by the way, we need to have someone who's paid $200,000 a year monitoring this during the entire surgery. So
200,000 is low. I
Yeah.
I knew a guy who dated an anesthesiologist, and he was like, she made like $300,000 to $400,000 a year. It's like,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, because it's quite literally like, where's death? Where's death? Not quite death, and keep them right there, just right there for 12 hours. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's an insanely. I mean, in fairness, I want a person who's really well trained to do that.
Yes.
I don't want some guys like, a little bit for me, a little bit for you. I don't need that. I don't need Tim Watley doing it. Okay, so
No.
so I
get a little nervous if Dr. Nick Riviere is your anesthesiologist.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Like, oh fuck.
Is
So
this gas on? Oh, I feel sleepy.
I'm ready. Like, So like I get why you make a lot of money doing that, but so this guy, this guy potentially killed him, and listen, I think they might have, unless this guy pleads absolutely guilty, they may have a hard time getting a jury to convict this guy. Like, I don't know, guy seems like maybe he's a little bit innocent. Like, I could totally see him like,
I mean, look, jury nullification is a thing. For those who don't know what jury nullification is where the prosecution basically proves the facts of the case, and the jury is like, yeah, you did prove that he did it, but we're going to acquit him anyway. Like, that's what jury nullification is.
and you know what?
Basically, he did that shit, but we don't think he deserves to go to prison.
Here's the thing. I think that's exactly what should happen. And the reason why I think that is because old me would have said he should go to jail because he did something terrible. New me would say, you did this. Okay, oligarchs, you did this. You made a system in which no one on your level pays at all. They never do. You have a guy who literally started a coup and paid no price for it. People went to jail, and he's about to pardon all of those people.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there is no payback when these guys do terrible things.
Not even payback. There is no justice when these guys do terrible things. That's the problem right there. It's not a revenge thing. It's just like if you're a society that believes in the rule of law, then you believe that people should be held accountable when they do wrong. And it seems like that there is doesn't seem like there is a protected class in this society.
Bill Cosby's out of jail.
Right. Typically rich, typically white, typically male, who never has to answer for anything. I mean, for fuck's sake, Donald Trump was convicted of 34 felonies and is probably not going to serve a day in prison if he's even punished at all. Because there's a good chance that sentencing might just get thrown out because they're like, fuck, he's the president now. I don't know what to do with this.
All right. By the way, I wouldn't throw it out. Fuck that. Hold on to it. Even if that guy's got 9 minutes left of his life when he walks out of that White House, I'd be like, clink, clink. Guess who's going to jail? You will spend the last night.
But again, like to the point is that, again, the system protects them. Like, if he's been sentenced, like, can you postpone sentencing for 4 years? Probably not. Like his lawyers would argue, well, that violates his due process rights. Well, fuck, we can't put him in jail because he's the president, but we also can't wait to sentence him for 4 years because of due process. So I guess he just gets off. Like, that's what happens. Even the guardrails in the system serve to protect those people.
Yes, 100%. So it's fascinating. And look, I think the idea of this guy potentially getting off, he might, he may not, is wild. But my sympathy doesn't exist for the CEO. It just doesn't exist. Look, I feel sympathy for like his family and stuff like that. That, they're innocent people, maybe. The guy probably has kids or whatever. Like, I feel sorry for them. I truly do, because it's like, that's not fair. They didn't sign up for that shit. But for him personally, as I was talking to Mike about this, it's like, I give him the same view that he gives people that he denied insurance that died from those needing those medical procedures. You didn't give a fuck about them as human beings. I don't give a fuck about you as one. I simply
like a lot of the the anti commentary on this, like the people that are like, how dare you people like like gloat and celebrate about this, like it's completely like you're looking at this with no humanity, and I'm just like, you're so fucking close, you're so close, like you're right there, like you're right fucking there.
And by the way, it's not just him, right? The meeting that he was going to, the investors meeting he was going to that morning, they still had that meeting on time.
Yeah, started on time. Yeah, and then they're like, "Oh shit!" Like he got shot.
He got shot at like 7 a.m, and they had the meeting at like 8. They're like, "Yeah, let's fucking step over. Who gives a shit?" These guys are devoid.
The stock price went up.
Went up
in the wake of his being killed.
Yeah,
like investors were like, "Holy shit, that dude died." Time to invest in United Healthcare. I'm like, what?
I mean, in fairness, our name is trending, guys. It is amazing. Right. So there is a disconnect. There is a humanity-based disconnect. But it isn't just on the people who are like, I don't really give a fuck that guy got shot. It's also inside your own business, right? You clearly don't give that much of a fuck. Why would you have the investors meeting? You would still have it? Hey, bro, Brad got shot. I don't know, man. Let's postpone the podcast 1 week. I don't know.
Maybe we don't look forward this week.
Like, no, bring Andy back on. Like, fuck
the show must go on. He would have wanted it this way.
Like, no, his son's over there crying. Like, he'll get used to it, right? Like, that's just a very weird. It's just a very weird perspective, and a very weird thing to do. So, we didn't finish the Anthem story, but when they came out and said, "Hey, we're going to do this anesthesia thing. We're not going to cover it if it goes, too long," the guy gets killed in fucking broad daylight, and the next day they're like, "We've reversed course on that. We're just going to go ahead and continue providing that service as normal." And when people say violence isn't always the answer, it doesn't solve anything, I go, I don't know, maybe it fucking does, because these motherfuckers were scared. I saw, Elon Musk is like, it's not based. Like, please stop talking like that. It's not based to kill a CEO. And people in the comments were like, but it is though. Like, they're like, it is.
Well, and we've been talking for many years how many people in this country have been pushed and pushed and pushed, and you're going to continue to see people be pushed to the brink. Like, fortunately, the Supreme Court seems to have punted on making a ruling in like the trans kids' rights issues that they heard hearings on last week. Good for them. That would have been like that could have potentially been really bad, but might not be the last you hear of it. But like, people that are marginalized minorities in society have been pushed and pushed and pushed, and people in the lower classes have been pushed and pushed and pushed. And over the next 4 years, you're going to continue to see people pushed and pushed and pushed. Migrants, again, LGBTQ people pushed even more. And as we said so many times, you can only push people so far before it's Newton's law, baby. Like every reaction has an equal and opposite reaction. Like, there will be a backlash. Now, I assume the backlash would be more against politicians, but it also wouldn't surprise me at all to see more of this, like against the business class specifically, as well as we get more to this, as people feel more desperate. As I put on Blue Sky, maybe I'm wrong, but having a culture, having a country that has a healthcare industry that prioritizes profits over care, combined with a culture that fetishizes gun ownership, is ultimately going to lead to bad outcomes.
Yep.
And we just saw what possibly might be the first of many bad outcomes over the next indeterminate amount of time. I guess to some extent it depends on what happens to this guy, if he does get tried, and to see what the outcome is. Because like you said, if he gets acquitted, oh boy, like you
are in a world of trouble. You better figure out a way to get to, like, we gotta find. Can we get 12 CEOs to be on the fucking jury? Like, you're in a world of trouble if he gets out. And not because, like, I think he's a danger. I think it's just going to be people go, oh, are the norms done? Great. Let's rock and roll. And look, it's already terrifying, by the way, if you're one of these guys. If you're one of these, like, right-wing politicians or you're one of these, like, big corporate guys, it's already should be a little scary for you because copycats exist. Mm-hmm. It's not about, like, him going around fucking James Bonding everybody he doesn't like. It's about people going, I hadn't thought of that. And guess what? The next person might be a little bit smarter than him, right? Or the next person after that. But if he gets off, now look, I just told you I would love to see him get acquitted or released or whatever. But I'm also saying this, and I don't find these things to be opposing viewpoints, which is shit's gonna go crazy because people are going to feel like, hey, the rules and the norms are dead, so we're going to make new ones. And look, I am not here to advocate for violence. What I am here to say is, dude, we told you. Because for the last number of years, we have said over and over again, like Brad just talked about, when you keep pushing people to a point where they don't feel they don't have any other recourse, they are going to do things that end up in brutality. Like they just will. You can't kill somebody's grandma through health insurance and think that nobody is going to react in a terrible way. They just will. There are 400 to 500 million guns in the United States on average, right? Like, or estimated. What do you think? You think everybody there is a reasonable, like well-brained person?
Yeah. In fact, we know they're not because Republicans have fought to make it so that's not the case.
That was the first thing Trump did. Maybe we could give people with less mental faculties more access to guns.
And by the way, like for all the talk, for all the hand wringing, especially on the right about like liberals glorifying this and celebrating it, doesn't it just fucking figure that the dude who actually did the fucking thing, right wing asshole, fucking Ivy League fucking graduate, came from a wealthy family, like all the fucking tropes. Like it's so funny how it's
big Elon Musk guy.
Yeah. So funny how it's never ever liberals who are the ones pulling the trigger, ever.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what's going to be the most fascinating part of this, right? Is we all agreed it was the fucking moment from Predator, right? Like, the fucking handshake, the rock the world type of shit. We were all together on being cool with the CEO getting fucking killed. Like none of us gave a fuck. It was like that with the submarine. Like we all collectively were like, well, that's funny. We all agreed. But now this is where, when I mentioned earlier that that's about to die, this is where it will die. Because now it's about what side of the aisle is this person on. Mm-hmm. If they were liberal, they'd be like, we fucking knew it. But they're conservative, so they're going to be like, huh? I never heard about that. And they're going to try their best to try to shield themselves from this guy and everything else. But the problem is, if it is this Luigi Mangione guy, he's still alive. And if he decides that he wants to say whatever the fuck he wants to say about, like, these are my feelings on stuff and everything else, especially if he's acquitted, I think you can just say whatever the fuck you want. Then there's no argument. Yeah, I listen to Ben Shapiro. Yeah, I listen to these guys. And this is why I believe it's tough. I don't know if you saw, like, he did a Goodreads review of Ted Kaczynski's book. I mean, he's not incorrect. Like, he was just basically like, listen, these are, behaviors of a madman. Like, you could definitely make that argument. But they're also the behaviors of a political rebel. And I think that's an equally reasonable standpoint, which it is. But also, like, Ted Kaczynski was a fucking insane person, right? Like,
it's so interesting because in the wake of this guy getting arrested today, and again, he's alleged to be the perpetrator. We don't know for sure. Yeah. But in the wake of this guy getting arrested on the same day in New York, a gentleman by the name of Daniel Perry was acquitted in his, I believe, manslaughter trial in New York City.
Yes.
This guy, who is also like in his 20s or whatever, basically there is a black man whose name I don't remember, and I'm sorry for not remembering it, was being disruptive in a subway car in New York. and this guy Daniel Perry, who was white, basically like put him in a chokehold and killed this guy, just for the crime of being disruptive on the subway, and he was tried and he was acquitted. So again, like we have a lot of people on the right like fucking bitching and moaning about the reaction to the killing of this white CEO, but they're also celebrating that this guy Daniel Perry was acquitted for killing a black man in New York City. And again, that just goes to show you where their priorities lie. Again, these are the same people who fucking celebrated the acquittal of Kyle Rittenhouse when he murdered 2 liberal protesters at a protest.
Mm-hmm. They're not
again, as long as you're attacking the people they don't like, they're totally cool with it. So it's gonna be interesting to watch them square that circle in the wake of a lot of this coverage. So.
No, I cannot wait to see how they handle this. My guess is they'll pretend like either there's some conspiracy. I mean, there's always a conspiracy, like, oh, it's a false flag or whatever dumb shit. That like he's actually secretly liberal. Like I could see that as being their argument. Like this is just too convenient that he likes all of the right wing stuff. I'm like, or that's just reality. It'll be either that or like this like weird idea that while yes he was, he was on the right, he was radicalized just like in the last 10 minutes by Joe Biden's, stupid shit. But it'll be interesting for them to square that circle because this would be the third shooter, like major shooter that's been right wing. 2 of them going after Trump quite specifically, and now you've got a right winger going after likely a very conservative person, right? Like and CEO. So I find it interesting. I find it fascinating. I don't feel sorry for Brian Thompson at all. And I'm not going to be like, oh, please don't put Luigi Mangione in prison. But at the same time, if he gets off, I'm going to fucking laugh my ass off because you're in a world of trouble. You literally are. Actually, you're still in a world of trouble because even him being named is going to create that idea of like copycats and all this other shit.
I mean, you're in trouble because the wide reaction across social media in the wake of this was like, oh no. Anyway, like moving on. So
yeah, yes, very sad. Anyway,
yes.
Right. So it's, look, you are through the looking glass, and look, we're gonna take a quick break, and I have a statement I'm gonna make that I did not make last week, which I regret in the wake of this as well, but it's a thought I've been having over the last number of weeks. So we'll be right back after this. Okay, the quick thing I was going to say before we get to news you need. This whole thing with the CEO being murdered and all this other stuff, this rings very loudly to me, and I wish I'd made this statement on our first show back. With all there's more talk about immigration now of like what they're going to do with deporting people and all this other stuff. Trump in a, Meet the Press interview where he's saying that they will deport people who are married to immigrants. How does that work if they're American citizens? Fuck the Constitution.
I mean, Jay, like once you marry an immigrant, you lose your citizen status and become an immigrant yourself. Everyone knows this.
Yeah, like, bro, what are you even talking about? Also, Donald, are you sure about this? Because that seems weird. Also, like, if your child was born and one of the parents is an immigrant, and they didn't have legal status before you were born, then like also that person can be deported, which is weird because that would mean that Barron and Melania could be deported. So,
and his adult sons as well. Just so you know.
Yeah. Like, is he just trying to get raised, like, to get the fuck out of here? Like,
maybe. Who knows?
That would be hilarious. Yeah, Dad, we're ready to really kick ass. Well, here's the thing, guys. You're on the first thing smoking. You got to go too. So that's, like, bizarre. But, and here's my statement. I say all that to say this. The CEO getting killed proves this, too. Do you think that you can do all of these terrible things and not get touched? Like, is that what you believe? Because it's a really weird thing to me to believe that you could deport all of these people and break up families or rip families where one person is legal out of their homes and out of their lives and throw them into these other countries or into camps and all this other shit. And you think that you can't get touched. Like, people have made this point, and it is a real fucking dead zone type statement, but I think it's kind of true. Did you notice how much Elon Musk had his son around him over the last week?
I did. All of a sudden.
It's really kind of gross. Like, fucking shield me. Shield me. You wouldn't shoot a kid, would you?
People compared it to the scene at the end of Titanic with like Billy Zane like carrying the kid, like I have a child.
Yeah. But if you know the Stephen King book Dead Zone, right? Like yeah, right. Like at the end, it's like he puts the kid up to like protect himself so he doesn't get shot, right? It's the same sort of thing. I'm like, dude, I've never seen you with that kid, but all of a sudden the kid's on your shoulders, you're holding the kid, like stay in front of me, like real weird. Like real weird, to the point where I think it's not insane to say that's odd, man. Like I don't know, just feels really odd to me. But getting back to my point, I don't understand why these guys don't think they can get touched, and I think it's a really arrogant assumption that in a country with 400 to 500 million guns, and you coming out and saying, "Hey, I can't guarantee that the prices won't go higher under my tariffs," why you think that people aren't going to flip the entire fuck out. Okay. I saw Anthony Scaramucci was like, oh, I give a lot of credit to JD Vance. He's just hiding away. He's hiding away, with all this shit that's going down. And I'm like, I don't give him credit for that. You shit on Kamala Harris and saying that she was nowhere around. And you guys shit on Joe Biden when you said he was hiding out in the basement when he ran in 2020. But now JD Vance is a fucking political genius for hiding out. Okay. Yeah, you can hide out all you want, dude. Don't think that when this shit goes down in 6 months, when it gets real bad, that you can't get touched either. Like, I just cannot imagine a scenario where you think that you're just going to go around and do speeches, you're going to go around and do rallies and shit. You're going to be out there waving to the people when eggs are fucking $9 and gas is through the fucking roof and no one can afford anything.
Well, and kind of to kind of piggyback on that point, as far as Republicans go, like you reap what you sow. Like you hitched your wagon to this dude who has like destroyed norms, who has dialed up the rhetoric to incredibly violent levels, who talks openly and braggadociously about wanting to inflict pain on American families. And again, like, you don't think like because I guess you've lived in an ivory tower, you don't think that shit's going to escalate to you. But that's because you don't read history, apparently.
Yeah. Look,
case in point, we're going to talk about Syria in a few stories, and that just goes to show you.
And that ended way better for him than it could have.
Yeah.
Why don't you call Gaddafi? Oh, right, you can't. Like, it could always end with a knife up your ass, quite literally. Okay, so, yeah, I'm shocked that these guys think that they will be able to do these things, and everyone goes, yeah, no, it's fine. Like 2 weeks ago, I'd be like, oh, maybe they'd be fine. Now, not so sure about that. Not so sure. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be that way. And like the idea, like, you've had two people try to take shots at you, dude. You're not gonna moderate your plans.
You've had two people take shots at you, and you want to put Dan Bongino in charge of the organization whose job it is to protect you. Okay.
All right. Whatever you feel.
Not the plan that I would go with, but we'll see how it works out for you.
Yeah. All right. Look, maybe JD Vance is like, if I just lay low for like 2 to 3 months, I get to be president. I'm like, yeah. And then when you pop your head out, you're going to continue the same policies. I hope you pick a VP who is very nice because look, I'm not advocating for that, but I just don't understand how you can think that you're going to put all these Latin folks in camps. You're going to rip kids out of their homes. People are going to see this shit on the news. And you think everyone's just going to be like, this seems fine. Seems fine. Look, there's going to be a lot of conservatives who are like, yeah, no, that seems fine. And there's going to be a lot of people, even conservatives, are like, this is not okay. This is not okay. And
by the way, like, liberal politicians, like, you're not safe from this either. Like, if you don't like, when this shit starts going down, if you don't vociferously speak out about it and are just trying to do things through, like, the norms and, you know, normal machinations of government.
Ro Khanna, what are you doing?
That's not going to be satisfactory either. So,
no. Yeah, like, stop fucking around, man. Distance yourself. Your whole job is to be like, they're over there, I'm over here. I ain't got nothing to do with that shit. You don't want to be anywhere near this. You cannot work with these guys. You can't. Oh, let's figure out how to work to lessen government corruption. They're not here for that. They're in the pro-corruption business. They're not in the anti-corruption business.
Yeah, not that we're going to take a fucking tangent onto the fucking Doge, which I hate saying, but, you know, whatever. Ro Khanna, Jared Moskowitz, like, what the fuck are y'all doing, man? Like you don't see this for what it is, an obvious grift to secure. Again, the reason that they want to cut the spending is so that those services can be shuttled out to private corporations
or destroyed
to make CEOs a lot, or just destroyed together. But I mean, make no bones about it, they are absolutely going to solidify their own positions with this shit. It's quite obvious.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand not seeing that. I don't.
Yeah.
But you know, some people are just
actually this segues nicely into the story that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, go for
this week. There is a danger that a lot of liberals have, that a lot of Democrats have, that Trump is somehow inevitable, right? Like, the things he wants to do are inevitable, the policies he wants to pass are inevitable. And we've already, like, dude's not even in office yet, and we've already seen, like, no, none of this is inevitable. Like, Matt Gaetz is not going to be the attorney general, even though Trump wanted it to happen. Right. We're going to talk about Pete Hegseth in a little bit. Probably not going to be the Secretary of Defense, even though Trump wants it to happen. So again, none of the shit's inevitable. You have to fight. But a quote that was attributed to Steve Bannon that is correct is that when you flood the zone with enough bullshit, it makes it very difficult to focus on any one thing. And one thing that I'm really surprised that more elected Democrats are not focusing in on is how we've just ceded the grift to Trump as part and parcel of how things are going to be.
Yeah.
If you guys remember, before his first term, there was a lot of questions about divestiture from, you know, the Trump Corporation and his involvement with that and this, that, or the other thing that led to the, you know, the press conference with fucking hundreds of of manila folders with blank pieces of paper in them or empty.
It
folders.
Made me so mad. Just pretend to knock them down. It would have been the easy.
Right. Pratt fall into them and knock them out.
They're blank.
But the grift for the second Trump presidency is about to be that on steroids.
Yeah.
And the thing is that he's not even hiding it, but no one's calling him out on it whatsoever. So, I mean, a couple of the things that we need to look out for in a second Trump presidency. He owns his fucking social media company, right? Like, he has billions of dollars invested in that company that was basically a gift to him. It's a publicly traded company, so any foreign investor can essentially dump money into that company, blow up the share price, which in effect makes him more money as well.
Yeah,
that seems like a real fucking problem.
Yeah, it's state-sponsored media. That's
right.
not okay. Yeah.
Not only that, Trump has his own cryptocurrency. Speaking of ways that you can just dump money in his pockets without any oversight, and literally, if you invest in his coin, like in his digital currency, 75% or something like that, like 3/4 of that money that you invest goes directly to him. So, like, if you're a fucking foreign company that wants to curry favor with him, just fucking buy,
MAGA coin,
$100 million of Trump coins. Give him a $75 million gift. Seems on the up and up. obviously he still owns all of his properties and stuff like that around the world, and in at least he's not going to have the hotel in Washington D.C. Anymore.
Super offensive.
So at least you got that going for it. That's great. And this guy is also talking about he's fucking hawking Bibles, he's fucking hawking shoes, Fender guitar, or like guitars that look like Fender guitars. He's getting sued by Fender, or getting cease and desist from Fender for making it look
really?
like
I hadn't
a Stratocaster. Yeah. He just rolled out a cologne this week that he's selling for $200 a bottle.
Yeah, he used a picture of Jill Biden to sell it.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
and
what are you doing?
And nobody's like getting up in arms about it, even though it is the most blatant misuse of the office of the presidency. And look, I get it. He's not president yet. It's not like he's going to stop selling this shit on January 20th. You know what I mean? It's not like a switch is going to turn off and that's going to be the way it is. And not just him, by the way, either. I mean, and this was something that Chris Hayes talked about on his show on Friday. You have like the people that they're putting in charge of the SEC, like his government is going to be a very crypto friendly government. Like he has fucking David Sachs, that Nimrod, joining his administration as like his fucking czar of digital currency or something or other. And basically their plan is for the federal government to purchase like $100 billion worth of Bitcoin.
Wow.
Well, guess who owns Bitcoin, guys? Like, who are they going to buy it from? Fucking rich assholes that are just going to get a fucking lump sum payment from the federal government. And then the federal government gets to hold on to their shitty, non-fucking, not non-tangible fucking, speculative currency. What is that if not just a fucking handout to the ultra wealthy?
Yeah. Man, if you own Bitcoin, shit's about to go fucking north. Super north for you.
But my point is though, I need Democrats to keep their eye on the ball with this shit. Like I know it's hard. I know there's so much between the immigration shit that Trump wants to do, between some of his cabinet appointees, between, stuff that could go on with health and human services, especially around vaccines and stuff like that. There is a lot of shit to deal with. Mm-hmm. But the fact that this dude, like the conversation that we had about like Donald Trump's in there to benefit himself, you need to keep that fucking conversation going. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is running to be chair of the oversight committee in the House, or sorry, the ranking member, because they're not going to have the chair. She's trying to be the ranking Democratic member of the oversight committee in the House. I fucking hope she gets it, because
get out of her way,
Jesus Christ, she will keep this shit front and center every single month, constantly, like have the hearings on this shit all the time, like get this stuff out there. And you need that. You need someone who's going to be driving this message constantly, because he's not going to do anything to help the American people. This is a fucking smash and grab of the highest order. You were about to see some fucking crazy shit over the next 4 years.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. But what you're also going to see is you're not going to hear about it. Like, even if AOC gets that position, which I really can't imagine, like, Democrats, just get the fuck out of her way and let her fuck go for it, right? There's no reason for anyone else to try to take that from her. And I have a feeling she'll get it relatively easily. But for me, there is going to be, this is the, like you said, this is the just flood the zone with shit kind of thing, right? You're only going to, like, you can't play whack-a-mole, but so fast. There are going to be tons of things, kind of, to your point, smash and grab kind of things that are going to happen. Things that don't even require him to work on the outside. Just shit they're pulling in right from the fucking White House, Resolute desk, so to speak. So, look, I can understand why Democrats feel powerless, right? Because they have no ability, they have no power to be a check on any of this. But we don't need you to just fall in line. You do, like, look, you just be the loud, screeching fucking bird every time something happens. Just keep doing that to remind people. One of the biggest things over the last 4 years that helped Trump get reelected was people have the memory of goldfish, dude. If you don't tell them, and not just tell them, but constantly remind them of all of the dirty shit he is doing or did, people forget. Because
you basically need to, like, in the House of Representatives, like, hanging over the Democrat side, just have like one of those fucking like PBS pledge drive like signboards of just like, hey, here's how much money Trump's grifted from the fucking federal government.
And it's just a fucking counting.
like since he's been the president. Like and every day when you get on the floor, be like, hey, the fucking grifting count's up to $275 million. Like we're going higher and higher, guys.
Like, make them pay, right? So that's my biggest thing is what do you do to keep people engaged, right? Because the arguments have been poor of, well, Democrats didn't have any policies that resonate with people. That's not true. The problem is exactly this. You have so much shit that you're trying desperately to fucking like, but don't forget about this, but don't forget about this, don't forget about, like, it becomes overwhelming and then people just turn the fuck off. Right? Like they just do. Like, and that's the whole point of the tactic. If you flood the zone with so many things, people just turn off. Like, it's quite literally how a denial of service attack works with hacking.
Right.
You just keep smashing the system until the system goes, well, fuck it. Like, I give up, right? It just shuts down because it's overloaded. And they basically took that idea, and by the way, that's where they come up with it, right? From real life. If you overwhelm human beings with too much information or too much corruption or too much fucking birthday cake, eventually you're going to throw up, right? So that is what they're doing. It is the responsibility of Democrats to go, yes, we know they're giving out too much birthday cake. You don't have to concentrate on all of the birthday cake. That's too much. But here are the big slices of birthday cake you really got to fucking pay attention to. These are the things that really should piss you off, and we're going to keep hammering on those. And occasionally
you assign every Democratic member of the Oversight Committee like one thing to look at, and they can all like do a presentation on it, like in every hearing, essentially.
But that's what it is, right? Like people. It's very easy, and I'm not like trying to give Democrats a pass or anything like, oh, they did everything perfectly. But people like slamming Democrats for basically not being perfect in moments like this, but they don't talk about why Democrats have to be perfect in that. Is because what you're quite literally arguing is in a game of whack-a-mole, never miss one. That's impossible. Right? Mm-hmm. And Republicans are just like, but we just keep throwing up the moles. And everyone's like, yeah, no, that's your job. Like, no one goes, hey, could you stop doing that? Right? It's like, no, Democrats, you need to be flawless in this. And that's an impossible standard to hold any politician to. It's just impossible, especially in a scenario where there's so much corruption coming down. It's not your standard, like, we got these 5 scandals and we're trying to push them along. No, dude, they're coming from all fucking sides. And so you have to be able to whittle down what are the most important ones, what are the things that are going to piss Americans off, right? Anything to do with pocketbook issues is going to piss Americans off. Hey, Donald Trump is grifting you. That's why your eggs are $50 a fucking carton. Whatever that story is, you keep hammering that story because eggs are apparently super important to Americans, right? Hammer that story. Oh, he's taking money from foreign, politicians or whatever. Americans don't give a shit about foreign policy. They just simply don't. And it could be the vast majority of money that he's getting. They don't give a fuck about it. They don't. They simply don't. So you just have to figure out, Americans are largely very selfish. What are the things that he's doing that is hurting them quite directly? That's what you concentrate on. And everything else, you just keep the fucking ship going long enough to get back in power. And again, like I said in minute 1, be mean, make them pay. You don't go in lightly. Okay, well, we'll look past it. Nah, motherfucker, y'all going to jail. Like everybody's going to fucking prison. That's what you do. And you don't let up until you get fucking heads. That's it. That's it. And Americans go, wow, they're really going after Trump or whatever. Oh, shit, they got this guy? Oh, shit, they got the other guy? That's what they want. You said that people want justice? Nah. People want payback. That's what they want. Americans want payback, dude. That's why we went over to the fucking Middle East and blew it up and made it unstable. We wanted payback. We didn't want justice. We wanted somebody to pay for what they did, even if it wasn't the right people. Brown enough was our fucking motto for many years. So people want retribution. And after a number of months or years under this next Trump administration, they're going to want payback. And Democrats need to figure out, what does that look like for them? Because patty cakes and playing nice, that shit is over. You got friends in Congress? Fuck them. Like when push comes to shove, sorry, Jim, we rolled cool, but you did some illegal shit. You got to go to jail. Like,
and I will say, I think one thing that seems like they're wising up a little bit. Apparently, Hakeem Jeffries is not standing in the way of challenges to like long held.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like high chair positions in committees and stuff like that, which is huge because there's a lot of old fucking people that need to take a seat.
Yeah, get the
on
fuck
the
out
Democratic side of the aisle.
So yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, people were like, "Oh, well, he's been trained by Nancy Pelosi, so that's a bad thing." I'm like, look, you may not like Nancy Pelosi, but Nancy Pelosi got shit done. Like when it came,
and by the way, she also supports this tact. Like I think she understands that. Like, yeah, the new generation needs to come the fuck in because she was not blind over the discussion around the election up until late August or early August. So.
Right, exactly.
Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.